protection. Campaigning for the election, my aim to reach perfection. Hebrew business, we the brethren out here trying to preach the message. If they don't want to hear it, dust them feet and keep it stepping.
This that God music, you know
back with another one.
we loud about our God, we don't keep him on the
Boy,
low. The
he
spirit in our
he ain't at
hearts,
the
milking
time
honey
in
in our
studio.
flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow. This that
Still
God
gonna get
music,
it.
you know that holy flow. We loud about
got
our
the
God,
brother
we don't keep
Achi'Ka.
him on the low. The
Back
spirit in
out.
our hearts, milking honey in our flow. Keep it
Y'all already
righteous
know
in
what
our
we
talk,
doing
cause we
today.
reap what we sow.
Y'all already know what we doing today. So without further ado, I ain't even about to hold y'all. I ain't about to keep on top. I ain't gonna run my mouth. Let the brother get right into it. All praise to the Most High. So here you go. I cut him out. My bad, y'all. I'll bring it up. All praise to the Most High.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. All praises be to our King, the one who sits upon the throne, who sits upon the circle of the earth. Hallelujah. 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 Praise be to the living Yahweh. Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, last week we were talking about the covenant edition, and we're going over the covenant that can be found in the book of, what you would say, Exodus, chapter number 20. Also, too, the covenant can be found in chapter number 5 of the book of Deuteronomy, the second time in which it was mentioned. There's a lot of similarities there, but chapter number 5 of the book of Deuteronomy gives a little bit more detail about the covenant. So Moshe is beginning to speak to the children of Israel a second time about what the Most High has given them, and he's expounding upon it. But the words that are found in Exodus chapter number 20 are the original words that were mentioned. And these words, and sometimes is erroneously called the 10 Commandments. And so that's not what it was called. It's called the Aseret HaDavarim. And Aseret HaDavarim, that's Hebrew, means the 10 statements, the 10 words in which the Most High has spoken. Yes, of course, he spoke more than 10 words. And so you might ask, well, where are you getting the 10 from? If it's more than 10 words, where are you getting this information from? How do you know that it's 10 words or 10 statements? How do you support that? Well, the separation within the Torah is where you find the 10 words. It's divided into 10 different understandings. Okay, so what do I mean? You and I would never be able to understand this or see this in English. You're never going to see it in English. All you're going to see is English is what has been said, but you're not going to see the separation. Okay. And Abiyah, if anytime you feel like you want to jump in, ask a question, feel free to do so. If there's any questions in the chat that need to be answered, let me know, because I can't see the chat at this point. But I want to be able to answer questions as we go along so no one gets lost. Okay.
Okay, definitely.
So, yeah. So basically, I'm going to try to highlight some things. So one of the things that I do want to highlight right quick, I don't know, can you see my screen? Yes?
Yeah, we can see
So
it.
what we have, I just made that a lot larger. Okay. In the Hebrew, because that's what our Torah is written in, our 10 words are written in, our covenant is written in Hebrew, because it's not in English. The Most High spoke to his people in this language and in this culture. Okay. I want to direct your attention to this, what they would call punctuation. They're calling it a punctuation, P-U-N-C at the bottom. I highlight it there. Okay. The punctuation is this letter called the stuma, or the letter semach in Hebrew. Okay. That's the name, semach. And it's represented by the letter S, as you can see right here above that Hebrew letter. So the one that's highlighted right now is a regular S. It has a S sound. And then right here underneath is this letter called a semach, which has an S sound as well. But they're calling it a punctuation. In Hebrew, there are no punctuations. None. Okay. So what we understand about punctuation is like a period or a semicolon and all these sorts of things, right? So they're saying that this letter right here is operating like a punctuation, but in Hebrew, there are no punctuations. So what do you mean? Is this confusing? Yes, it could be for someone who doesn't understand the language. Okay. I didn't bring this out last week, but I think it's important because if you're talking about their 10 statements, and I'm saying they're not 10 commandments, I'm saying they're 10 statements, I have to be able to verify what I'm saying. So you won't think that I'm just telling you this because it's something that I made up as I'm going along. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to have to understand is, what does this S mean? So you can see at the top right here, the first thing that was spoken says, why deber Yahweh El to call the Hadavarim Ha'ele. The Hadavarim are these words. So that's what I mean by the Eseret Davarim, which are the Hadavarim, the words. Okay. So this is the first statement that is being spoken to us, right? So it's separating us, letting us know that this stuma is a separation. I'm going to share could you share, let me see right here. So I want you to keep that letter in mind. I'm going to let you look at it one more time before we go there. Right here. This is the letter that I'm going to share with you and show you what it means. Okay. I'm going to try to share this right quick. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to share this. Okay. Here we go. Let's get rid of that right quick. Can you see what I'm sharing right now?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. Let me add that right quick. Okay, let me share it with you. I'm going to share it right here. Okay, all right.
All praise.
All right. So listen, I know that this is a podcast, right? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to understand, the people that are watching live. I don't want you to get lost. I don't want you not to know. Okay. You got to know what these things mean. Right. So in this photo that you have right here, you see that this little note right here, they got is called a note, and you see that letter is indicated by that number 1. Do you see that? You see it? Yes? You can see it, right? Yep. Good. So that letter again is telling you that your right-hand side at number 3, it's like they're using another symbol to represent that it's an end of a conversation. It's an end of a conversation. And then on the bottom here, number 2, they have another letter that tells you, right? So basically, everyone, what number 1 is that letter S, and that letter S represents a space. I don't have any way to indicate that besides just telling you, right? Let me see. The S represents a space, but in Hebrew, it literally means to pause. It means that I'm going to change the teaching. That's basically what it means. Okay. Then I'm going to change the teaching. And then number 2 on the bottom where you see it says 2, that means I'm going to end a teaching. So one is opening a teaching and the other one is to close a teaching. Number 1 means I'm going to open up another conversation dealing with the same subject. So for example, if I'm talking about doing a brake job, then one part of the teaching would be brake pads. Another teaching would be on brake maintenance. Another teaching will be on brake calipers. And then when I'm finished talking about brakes, then we'll do a number 2, which you see on the bottom of the screen right here. We'll do the 2, which is be this letter P down here. That's what that means. That means I'm going to close the conversation. So there's nothing else to be talked about like brakes. So whenever we see that P, it means it's over. Okay. But in our teaching, just wanted to share that with you. In our teaching today, I thought it was necessary that I would show you the divisions inside of the Torah. Because if you don't understand the divisions of the Torah, then you're going to be thinking that it says something that it doesn't supposed to say, and you're not going to be able to, understand what you're reading. All right. So going back to what we're learning in Exodus chapter number 20. So there's one that you see right there. Okay. And let's go find another one. Number 2, you don't see anyone. Verse number 2, there's none. Verse number 3, there's none. Verse number 4, there's none. Verse number 5, there's nothing. Verse number 6. Oh, at the end of verse number 6, there's one right here. So what that means is that now I'm done talking about a certain teaching. That's it. I'm done with that. With that aspect of the covenant, he's done. And then he switches it, and then he begins to talk again. So that's one, right? So look what we have. Number 7. 7, chapter number 20, verse number 7, is something that's all by itself, because at the end of verse number 6, you got that mark right there. And then in verse number 7, you have another mark that's different, meaning now I've closed it. The conversation's closed. Now that's over. Okay. So what it means is like verses 1 through 6, they all go together. Or 2 through 6, everything goes together. Verse number 7 is included in the teaching, but it's all by itself. There's nothing else to talk about in regards to what's being said in 7. Okay. Then so now that it's closed in verse number 7, this symbol with this P right here, that means that it's closed. And if something's closed, it means that now something is going to open. So the conversation that the Most High is saying is like, I've told you what I needed to say. And then once you said this last word, this La Shoah right here, now it says that I'm going to close what I'm going to say about the topic that I mentioned. And now we're going to talk about something else. So what was in verse number 7? Well, when we get there, you'll find out he's talking about his name. Verse number 8, he changes the subject. Then he begins to talk about the Sabbath in verse number 8. Verse number 9, he's talking about the Sabbath. Verse number 10, it's all the same. So there's no divisions. 11, 12, all the way down to 11. Look what happens. So 7 through 11, now he's going to pause. He's still going to be talking about, the subject of honoring something and remembering something. But now he's going to change and talk about something else within that same vein, if for lack of better terms. Okay. So we see there's another division. Okay. Then he goes to verse number 12. After 12, there's another division. Verse number 13, there is by itself another division. Verse 14, there's another division. Verse 15, there's another division. Okay. So it means it all goes together, but he's changing the subject. So when he talks about stealing, stealing is a different subject than it is adultery. Adultery is a different subject than stealing. That's why it's divided. And that's where you get the idea. And here, verse number 16 is different than 15. So 16 and 17 are going together. And then it ends right here. So there are 10 divisions within this statement of covenant. And it's recognized by the spaces that are within the covenant. And that's where you get the idea of the 10 words or the Eseret HaDavarim. And because you don't know that, you're jumbling everything together as if it's one subject matter, as if the covenant is consistent of just one thought. And it's not. It's consisted of many different topics. Many different topics. Okay? So when he says the 10 words or they say 10 commandments, it's not 10 commandments. There's more than 10 commandments. That's false. So we're getting lost in what I would say the sauce because we're thinking it's just 10 commandments. And then when you have someone who's in the New Testament and they're saying, well, here are the commandments. They weren't able to keep the 10. There was commandments that were given to the children of Israel, which are called the Mishpatim and the Kukim, and that's all written out. All this is just saying, in order to be in a relationship with me, and me being your Elohim, being your power, these are the things that are going to have to be understood if you're going to be in relationship with me. That's why he begins off with saying, I am Yahweh, right here, verse number 2 that we talked about last week. Remember, this is a covenant series. So my job is to show you and to explain to you why he's saying what he's saying and break it down. You don't get that. You just get, I shall not, don't use the Lord's name in vain and keep the Sabbath day and all this kind of stuff. And when you really don't know, you don't know. And I won't say that it's your fault. What I would say is that it's the fault of our ancestors, because this is supposed to have been taught, as I stated last week, where we're commanded not to forget the covenant. So the Most High is not telling you that, hey, forget my laws, because while you're in the lands of your enemies, you can't keep all of his laws, because there's laws that have to be played out in the way that he says it needs to be played out and brought into the place that it needs to be brought and done in a way it needs to be done. And that has to be executed by the king, the priest, and the leaders. And if we don't have a king and we do not have a priest and we don't have any leaders, then in order to fulfill the laws of Yah, you need them. You need them. We need a society that allows us to do what we need to do. If he says if you do some wickedness and you need to be stoned to death, you and I can't do that right now because we're in the lands of our enemies. You understand? So verse number 2 says, Anoki Yahweh Eloheka, meaning I am Yahweh, your Eloheka. I'm your power. Asher Achi'Ka, the Me'aretz Retz of Misraim and Beth Avadim, meaning reading from right to left, that I am your Elohim who caused you to there shall absolutely never exist to you any Elohim after me or before my face. We went over that last week. And he's more specifically talking about an individual, which you can find in the verb of this letter Yod right here. That tells you is dealing with he. In Hebrew, the letter Yod means he. He shall never exist to you. Third person masculine singular, which you can see right here on the bottom. And the he that he's talking about is someone who's going to come in the future afterwards, which you have right here in this word akar. It means other, right? They can use it grammatically for a word called other, but it also means after, in another time to come. You understand? So that's what he's talking about. So that shouldn't, upon my face, I don't ever want anyone to be brought upon me. There shall be never one, he says, before me. This word right here in English, they're saying before. It doesn't mean before. It means upon. It means over. Above. Okay, if you look at that word properly, it doesn't mean before. Okay, there's a Hebrew word that means before called milifane, but that's not being used right here. Okay, but they're telling you these English words because this is the way that they understood it. Okay, verse number 4. We stopped at verse number 5. This is a quick recap. We shall never, you, never, absolutely you, individual, shall never make ta'aseh de lakada fasel, and we call it tumunah. I shared about shamayim nemema all. Okay, so here it is, right here. I showed you in verse number 3 this word all. I'm going to highlight and make it large so you can look at it. Remember these two letters. The first one is this one called an ayin, and this one right here is a lamed. The second one is a el, a lamed. Okay, so that means Okay, so they're saying before, I told you that doesn't mean that, which is true. Well, how is that true? Well, down in verse number 4, he just told you Mima'al. There's the word all right there again. That means above. They got it correct there. So it's not before, it means above. Okay, so they say Mima'al. So they're using the proper word with the proper English definition to talk about above, because that's what all means. That's what Mima'al means. Okay, so 4605 is the number that you can look up and see and find out if that's the truth. Okay, now but let's make sense of verse number 4. You shall never make, right? So lo means absolutely never shall you as an individual make unto you a fasel, that is a carved image, and a tumuna. Tumuna right here is any type of image. Okay, any type of likeness of anything, any kind of photo or anything that's in the heavens. So he's saying that anything that flies in the heavens, which is the birds, or anything like the sun, anything that's an image of it, the sun, the moon, the stars, that often a lot of religions use to say that that's an image or a flag or a representation of their religion, of their God. Okay. He says, don't make it in the heavens. And he said, Mima'al, which is above, and never, and Wa'asher, right here, or that which is in Ba'eretz, which is in the earth, right here, Ba'eretz. Don't make it in the earth. The Ba right there is in, right here, Ba is in, and then the earth is Aretz, in the earth. So that's accurate. Mitakath means beneath. And when I say and, they said or, but it's and that word right there, that letter Hebrew word is a wa, and it means and that word wa is right here at the top, called wa aser. Okay, let me see. So here it is, wa aser. So this let me see. This well, won't let me do it. The WA in that first part of that word, that is the right, what you got right here, the first letter, wa asher. And that which, okay, that which, because that's what a share is, it's a rope, meaning tying you to the waters. So don't make anything in the heavens or anything in the earth or anything above the earth or anything beneath the water of the earth. Okay, so that's any image, that's any type of likeness. I don't want you to do that. And that includes a human being. And it means an image of a male or a female, which in the book of Deuteronomy, he goes into more detail about what he's meaning about no representation. And the reason why he's saying this is because they didn't see any image. And I'm going to take a break right quick from the covenant or the 10 words, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this. And let me put something else here so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay. In Deuteronomy chapter number 4. All right. So I'm going to transfer this right quick and show it to you. I'm going to add. Let me stop sharing this. And then I'm going to start showing that. And then I'm going to go ahead. Share that part of my screen with you. And I'm going to push right here. And I'm going to show you right here. And it should pop up. In Deuteronomy chapter number 4. I wanted to wait until we got here before I went there. So you can see that I am using the Deuteronomy chapter number 4. I'm going to click on it so you can follow me. Deuteronomy chapter number 4. You can see right here. Okay. Then he goes on to talk about the laws and he's telling them to listen, but we're going to go right to it. To what the point that I'm trying to make. Okay. This is why you need to understand the covenant. He says that he's giving them a heads up about when they approach and stood at the mountain or the foot of the mountain. So here it is. This we're going to start in verse number 11. He says, so when you approach and stood at the foot of the mountain that blazed with fire at the heart of heaven with darkness and clouds and thick mist. It says, then Yahweh spoke to you. This word Adonai is really Yahweh. Okay. He spoke to you out of the fire. You heard the sound of words. You heard the sound of words, but you saw no shape. There was only a voice. So this is the reason why in the covenant, he's telling us, don't make any images, because there is no shape. You cannot make a shape of the Most High. He said he proclaimed to you his what? Verifying about what he's talking about. He proclaimed his covenant to you through a voice, not through no shape. You didn't see any shape. Okay. So the covenant was proclaimed to you, which he ordered you to obey, which is the 10 words, not the 10 commandments, the 10 words. And he wrote them on 2 tablets, stone tablets. Okay. Then he goes on to talk about what the Most High told him. But here it is, verse number 15. Therefore, watch out for yourselves in dealing with what? In dealing with the covenant. Because he's talking about how he proclaimed his covenant to you with what? With only a voice. So every time you and I are reading the 10 words, which are the 10 statements of the covenant, you and I are learning through being taught the laws and the rulings. Okay. He said, and listen, he said, he told me to teach you the laws and the rulings. The laws and the rulings are separate from the covenant. Because he said, at that time, Yahweh ordered me to teach you the laws and the rulings. He didn't ask him to teach them the covenant. He asked Moshe to teach them because they heard the sound of words. They heard Yahweh's voice. They were responsible for hearing his voice. He proclaimed to you the covenant, which he ordered you to obey, which is the 10 words, which is the covenant. And then he goes on and says, at that time, Yahweh ordered me to teach you the laws and the rulings. The laws and the rulings were after Moshe went up on the mountain to receive the laws and the rulings. The covenant was spoken, and because they didn't want to hear it, Most High stopped talking. They were afraid. He said, go back to your tents, because that's what they asked for, lest they die. So they didn't receive the laws and the rulings at the time that they received the covenant. When Moshe said at that time, he's talking about how he went up on the mountain and the Most High told him, you're going to teach them the laws and the rulings, so they can live by them in the land that you're entering and take possession of it. Therefore, watch out for yourselves. About what? Talking about the covenant. You do not see any shape of any kind. So anytime he's talking about any shape, any representation, he's talking about the covenant. On the day that Yahweh spoke to you in Korev or Horeb from the fire. So the fire is where the covenant came from. You understand? It was spoken out of the fire. The reason why it's fire is because it's Yahweh's judgment. Okay? And he says, do not become corrupt, and make yourselves a carved image having any shape of any figure. Okay? Not a representation of a human being, male or female, not a representation of any animal on earth. Therefore, he says, lo, you should never bow down to them. You should never make an image of that which is in the heavens. Don't make an image of anything on the earth. Don't make an image of anything in the waters or anything that's flying in the air. That's the heavens. Anything of an animal or human being that's on the earth. Anything that's a representation that creeps along the ground, that is on the earth. Anything is a representation of a fish in the water that's below the shoreline. That's in the sea. Anything that's in the same reason, look up at the stars, or excuse me, the sun, the moon, and the stars, or everything in the sky, and be drawn away to worship them. Yahweh has not allowed these, he has allotted all these to the peoples underneath the entire sky. So I bring you here to make sure that you understand why he's saying that lo tishtach away lahim, do not go down and worship them. Don't go down and worship them. Don't go down and do any of these things. So now that we go back and we're looking at the covenant, you now understand why he said, Lo ta'aseh lakata fasel. Never shall you make for yourself a carved image. I'm reading for right to left in verse number 4 of any tumunah, which is anything or any likeness I shared about Shamayim, anything in the heavens above, and why I shared about Eretz and Mitakath, anything that's beneath the earth. You understand? Or why I shared about Mayim, anything that's in the water, which is the fish and the representation to Mitakath Eretz. And then he tells us where we left off last week. Lo, this is another never, ever, 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 absolutely, you're not supposed to bow down. Don't teach takaway lehem. Do not prostrate yourself to the lehem, to anything. Lehem is talking about the things that he just mentioned. Nothing. A man, a woman, a beast, an animal, a tree, a insect, a rat, a cow, a bird, a fish, nothing. And he said, well, lo ta'avadim, that you, this first letter right there means you are never to serve them. This service to them, because you might ask yourself, well, what does he mean if he's telling me don't bow down to them? These images that you as an individual would make. Some people would take wood and make an image out of it, out of an image of a man. You see this in the book of Isaiah. You see all through the scripture where they would take something and carve it and make an image of an idol, or they'll take a tree and worship it like for Christmas, or they'll take a bunny rabbit and worship it for Easter, or they'll take, a man for Santa Claus, or they'll take a man and worship it like they do for Christ, or they'll take a woman like his mother, Mary, Mother Mary, and they the mother of God, and they would worship her. You see in all these other religions and cultures where they worship an insect or a rat or a cow, like they do in India and like they do in China. They will worship a dragon. They'll worship a dog. Every year they got the year of the dog, the year of the frog, the year of this, the year of that. They are worshiping. And he's saying that you should never do these things. In case in point, that the only way that you would ever come to doing this is because of the way that you're thinking, because you're not going to make an image without a thought. And that comes from what's inside of your mind. So the covenant is for our thinking, to help us to control and to remember, what did the Most High say to us from the fire? This is what you and I are going to be judged according to, because the Most High says, I'm going to bring you out to the wilderness, and I'm going to bring you in the obligations of the covenant. This covenant. He didn't say I'm going to bring you under the obligations of the Mishpatim, which is the judgments. I'm going to bring you into the obligations of the Moedim. He said, I'm going to bring you to the obligations of the covenant. When Yahweh comes back to the earth, this is what you and I are going to be judged for. Did we make an image of a man or a woman, a representation of a male or a female? Did we bow down and worship anything other than Elohim? He said that you did not see any shape. Lo tishtakawe lahem. Do not bow down to them. Do not serve them. Do not bring them before Yahweh's face. For Kia Noki Yahweh. Going again, letting you know who he is. I am. That's what Anoki means. The first word that was mentioned in the covenant. Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. That's the first word he wants you to know. Then he says, don't do that for what? I am. I'm Yahweh. That's who I am. I'm the self-existing one. Let me make it larger so you can see it. I am the one, he who exists. Do you understand? So this first letter right here means he. Masculine singular, right? As you can see on the bottom. Proper name. Then his Haya or Hawa right here. That means to exist. That's the HWH. As you can see right above the word in Hebrew, you got the word Yahweh right here. Okay? They got it right there, Yahweh. That's the name they got. But it's Yahweh but they say Yahweh, right? So, but if we click and find out the origin of this word right here, the hey and the wa and the hey, that means to exist. So Yah is existence. This is the reason why he's telling us never to make any image, because they have been made, they have been formed, and they have been made by the one who exists. They only exist because of him. And so if we were to worship or to give any type of credence to anything other than him, then that means that he's not the only one who exists. If you give credit and worship and obedience and service, when it talks a bit about service, about you shall never bow down and worship them, you should never serve them. You said, well, how can I serve a frog? How can I serve a tree? He's talking about service as being dedicated in your thinking to it, being held hostage to it, thinking that everything in your life is happening because of it, and you have some type of, loyalty to it, and you have some type of adoration for it, and you admire it, and you look to it for your help because you think that it's sustaining you. Those things are only in existence because of the Most High. He even says in the book of Job, there's nothing clean, not even the stars are clean in Yahweh's sight. Not even the Malachim, the angels, the Malachs are not clean in Yahweh's sight. No one is as pure as our Creator. So how could you take something that doesn't have any, is not self-existing? It only exists because he's the one who created it. So again, he mentions to us again, I am Anochi Yahweh Eloheka. I am your power. That's what your Elohim means. That's what in English, your God. It means power. I'm your power. And then he tells you that I'm El right here. I'm El. Those two letters are very significant. Number one, the first letter is an Aleph. It's the first letter of the Hebrew language. Okay? And it has to do with an ox. And it has to do with power. And it has to do with strength. It has to do with, ability to do work. It has to do with the yoke. Okay? The next letter is the Lamed, which has to do with authority, has to do with leadership, has to do with guidance. He's literally telling us, I'm the power that directs you. I'm the one who will put the yoke on you. I'm yoking you to myself in order to teach you. Okay? The you right here is found in this last letter, Ka, right here. Like my name is Achi'Ka. First part is Aki, which is my brother, or Ak, brother. Achi'Ka, I'm your brother. I belong to you. So the Most High, when he tells you that he's your Eloheka, I am your Elohim, you can see the word El right in that word Eloheka, right here. He said, I'm attached to you. I'm a strong authority. I'm attaching myself to you. This you right here is the Ka, meaning the palm of the hand. I'm attaching myself to you. I'm linking myself to you. And the way that I'm going to connect myself to you is through the lamed, meaning the staff, meaning the authority, meaning the yoke, how I'm going to direct you. Because an ox is only led through a yoke. And you have to put a yoke on his neck. So it's the older ox joining themselves to the younger ox to teach the younger ox how to walk the path, how to follow instructions, how to go straight, how to do the work. The more experienced ox is connected with the younger ox in order to train it. So this is the connection. This is why he became your Elohim. So he can train you and teach you how to do the work that he wants you to do. And you ask Achi'Ka, what is that work? Before we go any further, we're still in verse number 5. I'm not going to run through the commandments just to say that I know the commandments are what you would call the commandments. I'm not running through the 10 words that is set Eseret Hadavarim so we can feel good about ourselves. We need to understand what the Most High is saying to his people, because we are an agricultural people and he teaches us through agriculture. You understand? So even if you look at this word El, talking about they have here God, it means strong authority, the ox of teaching, okay, the Aleph, right, the power. If you just go right back over to this word Eloheka, you would see it again. El. You see it again. If you would go all the way back over here to Lamed, this is an Aleph. Right after the Lamed. If you switch them, you have El. But this word means absolutely never. But this word right here on the opposite side is El. So if you look at it closely, you see Aleph and a Lamed. Here you see a Lamed and an Aleph. So when he's saying to us that I'm your El and that you shall never, absolutely never, ever, 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 ever do this, he's saying because it's never going to be. He's never going to accept it because it's contrary to him. It's the opposite of him. The shepherd is not going to allow us to do anything that's contrary to what he has said. So now that you're getting this understanding, you see in verse number 5 alone that you have the word lo mentioned there. You got to mention right here. You got it 2 times. Go back to verse number 4. It's mentioned right here. There's another time it's a lo. It means contrary. It's never going to happen. Here's in verse number 3. There's another lo. So within the 10 words, the Eseret Hadavarim, you have the word lo, which is opposite of el. It means going against what he has said. So when he brings us into judgment, if you've done any of this stuff, you're done. You're done. Because this is an absolute never. If you haven't turned away from this, if you haven't decided to follow the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, if you haven't decided to listen to the Aseret HaDavarim, which is preparatory to receive the laws, statutes, and commandments, they're putting so much emphasis on the laws and the commandments in the set apart times, and they have forgotten about the covenant. As a people, we are in trouble. The Most High, when he cracks the sky and brings us back out to the wilderness, he tells you and I'm going to speak to you face to face. So remember, we're in verse number 5. And we're dealing with this idea of lo. We're dealing with the idea of Elohim. We're dealing with the idea of Yah being our strong power and our authority. We're dealing with the idea of the more experienced ox teaching the younger ox how to live and what to walk and what to do. We're only halfway through it. But I did say something that I want to bring to your attention. I don't say things just because I'm just saying them. I'm saying them because this is what the Most High has said. And if you don't understand it, then you're going to be in trouble. You understand? So Ezekiel chapter number 20 goes hand in hand with the covenant. How do you get that? It's easy for you to remember. Exodus chapter number 20, Ezekiel chapter number 20. Both of those books starts with an E, okay, in English. And both of them are chapter number 20, okay? So let me share with you so you can see for yourself that I'm not making this up. So now I'm going to share with you chapter number 20 of the book of Exodus. Ezekiel, excuse me. Ezekiel. Here it is. Ezekiel. Sharing it? Can you get there? There it is. now that we're in the book of Ezekiel, one of the things that we don't want to do as a people is continue to learn the way that we've been learning. We have to unlearn the way that we've been learning by understanding that we can't just take one verse out of a passage and try to make and create a teaching off of one verse. You need context. You need context to find out why this prophet is saying what they're saying and in what setting is it being said. Okay. So I'm going to start right here in verse number 1 to give us proper context. On the 10th day of the 5th month of the 7th year, some of Israel's leaders came to consult Yahweh and sat with me. This is Ezekiel talking. And the word of Yahweh came to me. So they are in exile. I need that to stick. They are in exile. They're not in the land. They are in exile. They're out of the land. And they're going and they want information. And they're consulting Yahweh. And the only way they're consulting Yahweh is through the prophet Ezekiel. And the word of Yahweh came to me and he said, human being, speak to Israel's leaders, because those are the individuals that came, and tell them that the master, because this just says Adonai, but it means master Yahweh in Hebrew, ask, have you come to consult me? That's what the Most High is asking. You come to consult me? Asking a question. He says, as I live, because he means as I exist, says the Supreme Master Yahweh, I swear that I will not let you consult me. Meaning while they're in exile, I'm not going to give you no more information. I'm going to tell you something. The consultation is to find out what they need to do because they're in trouble. They're in exile. So they're going to this prophet and asking, what can we, consult Yahweh? Yahweh says, I'm not going to allow you to consult me. Then he tells Ezekiel this question, which you and I need to listen carefully to. The question is asked of Ezekiel, are you going to judge them? That's the question. Are you going to judge them? Human being, are you going to judge them? So everything that you're going to hear and listen to, starting at this verse, going all the way down through the whole entire chapter of Ezekiel, chapter number 20, is dealing with judgment. Okay, so this is your homework. I'm not going to read it all for you. You read this whole entire chapter, and you're going to find out that he's going to tell them why he's going to judge them. The part that I wanted to show you that has to do with the covenant is to show you that the Most High has determined that I'm going to bring you out and I'm going to judge you. Okay, so let's start in verse number 34. I'm going to bring you out from the peoples. This is Yah talking. I'm going to bring you out of the peoples. Where were the peoples? You're scattered and you're in exile. And I'm going to gather you from all the countries where you were scattered, with a mighty hand and stretched out arm and poured out fury, just like he did when he brought us out of Egypt, that he mentions in the previous verses. Then I will bring you to the desert, just like he did with us when he brought us out of Egypt. When he brought us out to the desert, that's when he spoke to us and gave us the 10 words, the Eseret HaDavarim. That was the whole purpose of bringing us out there, to talk to us and introduce himself to us. He said, then I'm going to bring you to the desert, other peoples, and I'm going to judge you face to face. Just like when he spoke to us face to face. You did not see any shape of any kind. All you heard was a voice. Just as I judged your ancestors in the desert in the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, meaning I'm going to plead with you, says Yahweh Elohim. Then he says, I will make you pass under the crook and bring you into the obligations of the covenant. What covenant? The covenant that you're reading and you're studying today in Exodus chapter number 20. I will rid you of all the rebels who are in revolt against me. Here is not doing us justice because it says revolt. In the Hebrew, it gives you more detail that tells you that it's not a person who has revolted. Past tense is somebody that's currently revolting at the moment against the Most High. And how and when and where are they revolting? The where is found in the fact that you are among the peoples. In the countries where they are at, they are currently right now rebelling against me. Not revolt. They're revolting against Yahweh. These are the rebels who will not do what he said. And he says, I'll bring them out from the land where they are living. Who? The rebels. But they will not enter the then you will know that I, Anoki, and Yahweh. If you do not know, you do not know Yahweh. Because the covenant is what binds us to the Most High. The covenant is the first words that he spoke to us. The covenant is the Eset Hadavarim, the words that he spoke to us, the 10 statements that he tells us the first word of his covenant is, I am Yahweh. So when he says, then you will know, that means that you'll understand that I'm the one who gave you the covenant. And the only thing that you could be rebelling against is the one who gave you the covenant. The one that is going to bring you to the obligations of the covenant. I am Yahweh. That's when you will know that I am Yahweh. When what? When I bring you out and I speak to you face to face like I did your ancestors. So now, going back to the covenant, so you can understand this part. The first word that he said is, I am Yahweh. That's the first word of the covenant. That's your connection. I am Yahweh. Anoki Yahweh. I am Yahweh. That right there means I am. And he tells you his name. So if you're calling on the name of some other God and you're bringing someone else before his faces and you're bowing down and worshiping something other than him, male or female, a human being, you're in trouble. Verse number 5, going back to what we talked about, he says in verse number 5, I am Yahweh. That's the second time he said, I am Yahweh. First time is in verse number 2. Second time is verse number 5. Why does he have to keep saying, I am Yahweh? Because he's letting you know that I am the one who brought you out of Egypt. I am the one who's giving you this covenant. I'm the one who you need to be listening to. I am the one who's making this covenant with you. And then he's going to describe what does I am Yahweh really mean. He says that I'm an El, I'm a shepherd, I'm a mighty leader, and I'm going to show you that I'm jealous. He's describing what kind of El he is. Kana means to be jealous. It means to be zealous for his name. He tells us that his name is jealous. He describes and tells us that if you say, do, live, cry, sing, admire, acknowledge anybody else but me, there is going to be a problem for you. Then he goes on to tell us that I'm visiting. That is a participle. That means always visiting. Here, the Hebrew word is poked, and poked in its proper definition is not only a visit, because you need to understand what visiting means. Visiting on Yahweh's way of thinking and his frequency is not just visiting like I'm going to come and see you. He's saying that I am going to attend unto you. I'm going to be an overseer. That's where that Hebrew word pakad means. Okay. The O sound is meaning it's active. That's a grammatical term that you need to understand. That he's saying I'm going to be the one who's going to bring oversight. What he's saying is I'm an overseer. That's what someone does. They oversee something. So I'm looking over you. I'm managing you. If you put someone in charge of something, you say, look, I'm an overseer. That you can see right there. I'm an overseer. I don't put things in place without coming to hold people to account. If I numbered you, I got to make sure the number is what it's supposed to be. If I sat you here and said that you need to do this, I got to make sure that you're doing what I said you're supposed to do, because you are not in control. You do not get to do what you want to do when you have a master. You do not get to do what you want to do if Yahweh is your Elohim. You are supposed to be directed by the Most High. And you're going to be brought into account by the Most High. So when it talks about appointment, talking about numbering, talking about mustering, he's talking about overseeing. So by the time when an overseer has to go do his job, he comes and he holds people responsible for whatever it may need to be, to see, well, I put you in charge of this. Did it happen? I gave you my covenant. Did you keep it? Did you regard it? Did you listen to it? Did you study it? Did you talk about it? Did you memorize it? What did you do with what I gave you? What'd you do? You understand? So this is what this means about I'm visiting. You understand? So what he's visiting, everyone, he's visiting still in verse number 5. And this is all we're going to be able to cover today. Is because there's so much here that I don't want to. I'm not running through the Hadavarim. I'm not running through the 10 statements. I'm not. We're going to stay right here until you understand that Yah is not talking about just visiting, talking about overseeing. I'm constantly overseeing your actions. And the actions that he's overseeing is this idea of what they call a won, right here. This next word, right here, awon. And what does awon mean? It says iniquity. So that's a very abstract term. That's a religious term. You know, sin, iniquity, transgression. Hebraically, it doesn't mean just iniquity. That's abstract. What it has to do with is the idea of some sort of perversion or some type of twisting of something. So what he's saying is when he says, I'm going to come and visit, I'm going to oversight, what he's saying is if I come and visit you, right, I'm going to visit you. And if I see something that's awon, if I see some twistedness, so you have a rope that's twisted, that's in knots, and it's supposed to be straight, I'm visiting that because I don't like things that are crooked. I like things that are straight. If it's like having a cabinet and you're supposed to have your dishes in it a certain way, but when the overseer or the overseer comes and he's doing oversight, he's investigating and examining what it is that he put us in charge of. And he told you and I want the plates over here, and I want the bowls right here, and I want the cups right here. I want the glasses right here. I don't want the forks and the spoons mixed together. I want the steak knives separate from the butter knives. So if you twist what I said, I'm coming to visit so we can get that straight. You understand? So this perversity, this so-called iniquity, is the perversion And that perversion is taught by the fathers. I'm going to do it. That's what it is. In Hebrew, the word, these are two nouns that you can look on the bottom. One is they have iniquity, and it's a noun right here on the bottom. In, that's a noun. That represents a noun. The next one over here is an in. It's a noun. It's a masculine plural, talking about the fathers. Okay, the word fathers is right here, avot. Okay, but in there is the word father, av. Okay, so it's a perversity of the fathers. Okay, so what is a father? We say, well, fathers are fathers. They're the person who's responsible for, who shot their seed into a woman, and now they're a father. That's how we look at it. But as you see the first letters of Aleph, and that means strength. The next letter is called a bet, and that means a house. So a father is the strength of the home. See? So the house won't stand strong if there's no father in it. Okay? The father is one who protect the home. The father is the one who's supposed to bring structure to the home. But the fathers are the ones who are responsible for everything that he's given them to oversee. But if there's no one to correct that and give any oversight, he's overseeing them. So he's saying that the awon, the perversity and the twistedness of the fathers, I'm going to come and visit that, because that's going to be passed on from generation to generation. Okay, and here it says on, meaning upon, like I told you, it's not before. So up there in verse number 3 or whatever it said, upon or before. It's not a before, right here. It's not before. This is not what it is. All, it's not before. Right here, he says all this. This is the proper translation of all. Right here, on, meaning upon or on. So I'm going to visit the iniquity, the perversity, the twistedness of the fathers on all the banim, upon the sons. So Achi'Ka, what do you mean? Because I heard that he's not holding the fathers responsible for the children, for their sins, and the children can't die for the fathers. So what are you talking about? It means that any perversity that the fathers have done, any of the twistedness that they have done, organically has automatically been transmitted upon or on the sons. And what he wants to do is, and he's being an overseer. He's saying the problems of your fathers are going to be translated down to their children. Okay, you got sons right there, but that might include your daughters too, because it's talking about children. Okay, so the father's perversity, the father's twistedness, the fathers, and including whoever the mothers are too. The fathers are not the mothers, but they're with the fathers. They're the ones who are supposed to support the father's decision. So if the father's messed up, whatever it is that they did, the children are going to experiencing it. They're going to experience it. What is an example of that? The example that we have of the perversity and the twistedness of the fathers being passed on is the fact that the Most High, when he had the children of Israel in the wilderness, and he asked the men to go in and they didn't want to go in, he says, okay, because you've done this, because you didn't listen to me, your children are going to bear the consequences of your transgression against me. Meaning that they're going to suffer because of your actions. I'm not judging them. They're just receiving it. They're a recipient of all that you've done. So you and I need to be very aware and very in line, or very mindful of the fact that everything that we do as fathers is passed on to your children, and the things that you and I have done in the areas that we've been twisted and perverted in, those behaviors and the results of those behaviors, our children to pay the consequences for it. So for example, as a father, I didn't do any planning, and say I didn't put a will together, or say I didn't put anything in order before I die. Well, when I leave and I pass away, my children are going to have to deal with the with my irresponsibility. If I don't pay my bills and I had all this debt and all this kind of stuff and I owed a whole bunch of people and I didn't set things right, when I die, my children are going to have to bear the burden of that. They thought they were going to inherit a house. They don't inherit it. Why? Because I was irresponsible. So basically, that's that example. So the Most High, this is real talk. This is not no fake stuff, right? Then he says, upon. It's not two, it's upon. I'm going to visit upon the sons, the children, to the third, the Shilashim, the third, and the fourth generations that hate me. You understand? So this verse here, verse number 5, isolates this visitation and this punishment because the people that hate Yah, the people that, in this word right here, Lasona I, the people that hate him, and I want to be clear, I taught on this today earlier, is the people who have put distance, because hatred in Hebrew doesn't mean hatred in English. Okay? What he's saying is that when the fathers get this perversity and they don't try to make any changes, the children upon the third and fourth generations are going to experience those things. Okay? And he says, I'm going to do it to the third and fourth generation. And more specifically, it's going to be for the people who have put distance between me and them. This word, lasonai, the true word for hatred right here is called saneh. So it might be represented here as lasonai. Okay? That's just conjugated. And here I want to bring to your attention at the bottom, it's a PRT, PCL. It's called a participle. Right here at the bottom is a verb qual, and it's done in a very simple way. And it's a PRTCPL. That means participle. It's telling you the way that the action is happening. A verb is an action. So it's telling you that this verb is something that's not done in the past. It's not something that's being done in the future. It's something that's currently happening right now. So every generation that it goes along in time, there's individuals that love the Most High, that are loving him, and there's a group of people that are hating him. The people that are hating him, and the sons and the children that are hating them, they're the ones who are continuing in the iniquity or the perversity of their fathers, teachings, of their fathers and their mothers, because their mothers are connected to their fathers. They're in alignment with what they said. And this is the reason why the Most High is coming to give oversight, to correct the perversity, to straighten out what hasn't been, to make the crooked things straight. You understand? So we're going to stop right there. That's a lot to think about. But in final point, the Lasona I comes from Saneh, and Saneh means a thorn bush. So when you're on Bible Hub or you're on some other Bible app and you're looking online, they're not really giving you the agricultural terms. They're just telling you the abstract terms. Hebrew is not based on abstract terms. It's based on actual physical. Thinking it's just an emotion. We're thinking someone's just yelling at you or something. No. What it's talking about is personally hate, right? A foe, hateful, is utterly, you despise these, right? These people. This hatred, saneh, from an agricultural point, means to be a thorn bush, okay? And so the idea of hate and detest and be hostile means that it's something that you're going to stay away from first, because in the Western mindset, that's how they see hatred. In the Eastern mindset, it's a thorn bush. It means to stay away because the thorns on the bush will cause you to turn away from. So when the Most High said that someone's hating him, he's literally saying these people are treating me like I'm a thorn bush. They're treating me like they have to stay away from me because they believe that I'm going to hurt them. Anyone who has put distance and staying away from someone, in hatred in Hebrew means to put distance, because you want to stay away from the thorn bush because you think it's going to hurt you, right? It's going to prick you. The thorns are. So it's not something comfortable. It's not something beautiful. It's not something that you would embrace. So the people that literally, and here in this abstract term of hating Yah, is saying that to them, they're the ones who don't want to be around Yah. They're the ones who are putting distance away from Yah. Those are the ones who don't want to correct the perversity and the crookedness of their fathers. They're the ones who don't want to say my father and my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, my auntie, and my uncle, and all the people I love. They don't want to say that those people were perverse and twisted. They're hold on to them. So it goes on from generation to generation. So the Most High is saying, I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to deal with the individuals who do such a thing. Okay? And that's pretty much it. That's enough of the teaching today. That's enough.
All praises.
Yeah.
He said a mouthful, y'all. He really gave us he really gave us something to think about. I definitely got a lot to think about when I was listening to it. I like to just yield and listen to good wisdom, y'all. I ain't a person that really likes to speak a lot, stuff like that. I do, but at times it's like when you hear good music, it's just like when you hear good music, you just be quiet. You know what I'm saying? You don't say nothing. You just be quiet and enjoy the moment, And that's what I was doing, just enjoying the moment. All praise to the Most High. Let me bring it back to okay. My bad, y'all.
No worries. Hey, so I want us to understand something again. It's not in the quantity of something. It's always the quality, right? Mm-hmm. So last week we got started in verse number 5, and then we had to end. So as you can see, verse number 5 alone is so critical. It has so much power in it. So that's the reason why we're not running through it, is because you really shouldn't, because you're going to miss something. Right. So all this has been over time. I've been learning this for the last, 10, 15 years. And, we want to make every effort to do what the Most High is asking us to do and to fully understand what he's saying. And me personally, I say and speak the 10 words every single day.
Hallelujah.
Every morning. And I say it in Hebrew every single day of my life.
That's right.
And the reason being is because you want to know, what did he say? So, because that's what we're going to be judged about, that he's going to judge you face to face. Just off of that. So we're thinking it's just going to be, well, you judge because you were smoking cigarettes and drinking. No. That's not it. You're going to be judged because you were overweight. No. You think you're going to be judged for all this other stuff, and that has nothing to do with the Most High is talking about. He's on a whole nother level.
Right.
So when he says Anoki Yahweh Eloheka, that right there alone should terrify you. That Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. Anoki means I am, and Yahweh is his name. Eloheka, your Elohim. The Hotzitika, the Me'aretz, and the Misraim, a Beth of Avadim. You better know. And you can, and listen, you can do it too. You can get up and say, I want to learn that first word. The first word is I am Yahweh. Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. You don't want to do it in Hebrew, do it in English, but understand what Anoki means and why he said Anoki. He said it because that is how you're going to know him. That is what he's going to judge you by, because you are the one who heard him speak. He said, then you will know that I'm Yahweh. Then you will know that I was serious about what I said. Then you'll know what? When you're a rebel and you're not going into the land. And the only one who's going to be a rebel is the one who's constantly right now rebelling against him. The rebels are the ones who decided that they're not going to address the awon, meaning the perversity of the fathers. They're going to continue to do what they want to do because they hate Yah. They hate him. They hate Yah, and we don't know it. And then they teach their children to hate him. When you hate Yah, you're not pursuing Yah.
Right.
And your children. If you're not teaching your sons and your daughters and they don't know Yah, they're going to find out when they get to the wilderness. Because he's going to say, you rebelled against me too. So you're gone too. So this idea that, go ahead.
So we know that we are over here, we in exile or captivity or whatever one want to call it. And we also know that we can't do, all the ordinances of certain said laws, right? And so would you think that, would you call it a wicked act? And this is just me wanting to know. Like, I don't know one way or another, y'all. Like, I'm just saying. But would you say that if one was to say that they were keeping the Sabbath or keeping the feast day or doing things or trying to do things in the ordinance of these feast days, would you say that was a wicked act, given that we know that we can't do these things over here? We can only do certain things. But when people are trying to do all of it and don't have the necessary, let's just say, for the better lack of words, equipment or, resources to do these things, would you say that it was a wicked act or or just somebody trying to serve the Most High and out with all their heart and all their mind?
I would say that anything that's done outside of what the law prescribes, right? And they have the best intent. They have the best intention, right? But you and I can have the best intention. You could be 100%. I want to do the right thing. But I don't want to scare anybody. But I wanted you to understand something for our listeners. If Yahweh told them to do it a certain way, and they're going to say, well, I'm going to do it this way because this is all I can do, and they're going against what he has said, you're not loyal. Loyalty to Yah means that you're not going to add to what he has said, including his commandments or his words, and neither are you going to diminish. So if you cannot bring to the Most High exactly what he said, you bring nothing at all. He doesn't care about how you and I feel. He doesn't care about what we see as right. There's one of my favorite verses that I have. That's in Deuteronomy chapter number 12. That says, "Lo, the ta'asun." That means that never shall lo. You hear that lo again? That means that you absolutely never are going to do ta'asun, a kokol asher, all in which you are doing that we're doing anaknu, that we're osim, that we are doing this day, po hayom, this day, where a man and each of he thinks that everything he does in his own eyes is righteous. Not when you go into land. You're not going to do what you think is righteous. And because we understand Yah's laws, and if we take the time to read them properly, you would know I could have the best intention in all the world, but if I can't do it the way he said it, it can't be done at all. So what do you mean about the Sabbath, Achi'Ka? So what should we do? You're doing what you need to do. You're making an effort to try to do what the Most High has asked. The Sabbath requires sacrifice. It requires sacrifice. And bring that sister's comment up because I'm going to answer it in just a moment. I think somebody had a comment. It says the sins and the wickedness of our fathers and children will suffer and bear the consequences. Yes. So keeping the Sabbath means that you and I recognize that this is his day. And you're making an effort to show the Most High that, yeah, I'm not able to do it the way that you asked me to do. You acknowledge that. Acknowledge that I'm not doing it the way that you asked me. Acknowledge that I don't have the sacrifice. Acknowledge that I don't have the priesthood. Acknowledge that we don't have the temple. Acknowledge it. And then on top of the acknowledgement, turn around and tell them the reason why. The reason why we're not able to do it is because we rebelled against the Most High. And so we, even within our Sabbath days, you should be able to remember and recognize that we're not able to do what he asked us to do. And it should make you feel a certain way.
Right.
If you're okay with keeping it the way you're keeping it and people doing what they want to do, then you ain't learned nothing. You're supposed to be ashamed and disgraced that we're not able to do it the way that he said it.
Correct.
He made it clear.
Correct.
Where did I put my name? When you try to substitute what you think versus what he said, that's the problem. So we can have the best intention, but we should never cross the line. We should know what the law says. If we know what the law says, then we won't be presumptuous enough to go outside of the law. The Moedim, Pesach, Sukkot, all these other set apart times required sacrifice to be accepted. The tithes of Yahweh had to come out of the land that we were in to be accepted. We have to prove to Yah that we understand, that we accept our punishment. We're not accepting our punishment when we're coming up with new ways to say that he's going to be pleased with this. He told us, well, guess what? I'm not coming back because of any good that you have done. I'm only coming back for the sake of my name. Not because of what you thought. You think because you keep the Sabbath that that's pleasing to him and it's acceptable? No.
So do you feel like, okay, I'm gonna say this. So I've heard a lot of Israelites say that, we can unite with one another and this and this and that, but the only way that we're gonna truly unite and everything goes away, and we'll be as one nation is when the Most High comes to unite us. And I get that. I understand that. But a lot of them do say that it's not our job to try to unite. It's not our job to try to hear one another out. We need to stick with our own, all that good stuff like that. What do you say to that?
I say that's accurate. I do. We're not, if you look at Deuteronomy 30 and you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, that chapter is not written to a body, a collective of Israel. It's written to the individual. That's why everything ends with a ka. It means every individual. So when, for example, they get to choose, right? So we get to choose whether we're going to rebel. The rebels are the ones who are going against what the Most High said. And we can do that by saying, well, he's going to accept this versus what I told you. If I told you, it's a test. It's a weird test, right? So Most High wants to know if we're going to do what he says, because that's what's always been a question. He said, you guys have never listened to my voice. So if we're listening, listen to me. If we're listening and we're giving an ear to what he said, don't add and subtract from what I said. So that's the test. So if you're trying to say, well, I'm going to please you and do what's accepting to you, and I'm trying to get other people to do it, the test could be that maybe it's not for other people, because I'm talking to you as an individual. I'm not talking to the group. I'm talking to you. So you have to make that determination. And what has happened with us, Abiyah, is that you can be in a gathering. I've been in gatherings. I've been in congregations. And because their so-called leadership is going in a direction, They're forcing other people to go in that direction with them. And so you're following somebody that's not even following Yah, because they're changing what he said. I've been in congregations where they said his name is here. His name is, he's in this place right here where we are right now. Don't you feel him? But you got cockroaches in your building. You got drug needles outside of your building. You got homeless people outside of your building. You were paying lease on the building outside of your building. All because you put Yahweh's name on something doesn't mean Yahweh's there. And it's arrogant and it's foolish and it's stupid. It's like someone calling themselves a priest. You're not a priest. You have to be verified and certified to be out of Aaron's line, period. He's the one who's going to choose and determine. So go back to your question, though, without going off on another thing. We have to stay within the context of what has been spoken to us as individuals. I could try to save my family, and I have in the past, and guess what? That's a weakness on my behalf. You ever consider maybe Yahweh doesn't want them? Have you ever considered that maybe he doesn't like them, like Judah's sons, On and Er, where he doesn't like and Onan? Have you ever thought maybe perhaps he doesn't care for them? Have you ever considered that maybe that he's not interested in them? Like we're asking y'all to do stuff for us on our behalf, and we're not considering what he wants. Maybe he doesn't want those people. Maybe he doesn't want your cousin. Maybe he's not interested in your mother. Maybe he's the one who's making the determination. He's the one who's picking. He's the one who's choosing. So how are you going to choose for Yah what you think he should have? That's arrogant.
Maybe he don't want your mama.
Maybe he don't want her. Maybe your mother or your father despises Yahweh. Maybe they hate his laws, his statutes, and commandments. Maybe your grandmother hated him so much that she heard the truth of Yahweh and decided to stay an idolater. And despite what she read, the hell with that. I'm keeping Christmas anyway. I don't care what he said in Leviticus chapter number 11. I'm going to eat what I want to eat.
Right.
You see? People do what they want to do. So if it was left up to our fathers and it's left up to our mothers, then we're in trouble. If it's left up to uncles and aunts and it's left up to the so-called leadership, you're in trouble. So what Yah has done is destroyed the leadership in order to find out where the people's hearts are, because the people are the ones who are choosing their leaders. I'm going to find out if the individual wants me. So you don't have no time to be trying to get anybody saved. This is not no missionary, thing where you go around and get people saved and talking, trying to convince them. I'm guilty of it. I love my family so much, I would do anything for them. But I came to the conclusion, maybe he doesn't want them. It does tell us that he said you can show pity to the wicked and they still won't learn what righteousness is. They still won't be able to see the majesty of Yahweh, the Lion of the upright. So he's saying I can show pity to them and it's make a difference. Huh?
And that's a hard pill to swallow, man. To know that. And then come to that understanding and realization that Most High opened your eyes up to the truth. But he ain't want your family member though.
He said I'll choose one out of a city. One out of a city and two out of a family. Yeah. One out of a city and two out of the family. That's what he's talking about. So if he's declared you and he brought himself to you, there's been people that in my family that he's made known to them who he is, and they turned around, turned their nose up to him and said, no, I ain't gonna do it. And it was done by an expression. I saw it. I saw it in their eyes when I told them. I saw the way they looked with disdain. They didn't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They hate him. And that's what we're failing to understand. And hatred, again, from a Hebraic perspective, is to put distance. Anybody that's gravitated or who wants to know the Most High is they're accepting of Yah's mercy. And the only way you could do that, and so know that you're deserving of it, or you're not really deserving of it, but you'll be able to accept and appreciate Yah's mercy when you realize your failures. When you can look at your life and you look at it and you start looking at what's going on, and you're willing for him to show you your deficiencies and your shortcomings and your failings as a human being, and what your responsibility to him was, which is the covenant. So the first word, that he is who he is, we forgot that. He said, you forgot my name, and your ancestors, your fathers forgot who I am. They don't want you to know who I am. So they gave you another name and another God. So you got to leave your father and mother, just like he told Abraham, get up, lech lekah, go leave your father's house and go to a land that I show you. So it's going to be based on a command. So you can't take everybody with you. They don't want to come. They don't want to come. And so let them die. That's how it works.
That gotta hurt too, man.
When they go out to the wilderness and they see your face and your family is gathered, because he said, we read in Ezekiel chapter number 20, I'm bringing the rebels out too. So the rebels are in your family, and they're going to be standing there, and they're going to have this stupid look on their face. They're going to be terrified. They don't know what the hell to say. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to ask you, what's going on? What do we got to do? And guess what my answer is going to be? I ain't going to say nothing. There's nothing to say. There's nothing to do.
Say nothing to say, huh?
What are you going to say when your family's standing out there? What do you think that the people that you talk to that are out there standing beside you in your family, that are, he gathers us by tribes and clans and families. So when you're out there and you belong to that tribe and that family, and then out of that tribe and family, he calls you to be separate and brings you out from among them. And then you turn around and he tells you to turn around and look at them, because this is what he says. I want you to see what I'm going to do to the wicked. And then you'll know that I'm Yahweh. So the rebels and the wicked are the people in your own family. And basically, a wicked person is someone who diverted on purpose to go away from the thing, or go away from the path that they have been instructed, that the overseer said, this is what I want you to do. So when that happens, you're not going to be able to, I can't stop Yah. There is no, let me stand in, negotiate, intercede, be a mediator for you, talk to the Most High for you. If you didn't listen to him, it's over for you. You're the rebel. And where are they rebelling at? They're rebelling right now in the lands in exile. That's where they're coming from. Well, they don't know. You think they don't know. You really believe that these people don't know. You think that they're really asleep. No, they are staying asleep because they want to stay asleep. They don't want you to wake up. So I heard what you said, but leave me alone. I'm going back to sleep.
Right. Yeah, just leave me alone with that. I figured it out when God comes, type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Even talks about in the book of Isaiah, hey, good. Congratulations. I'm glad everything's working out for you. May Yahweh be praised in your life. Good job. Wonderful. You're doing wonderful. That's what it says in Isaiah. That your brothers and all the people around you are going to say that. May Yahweh be glorified through your life. Yeah, congratulations. But the servant of Yahweh is not going to go hungry. The servant of Yahweh is not going to go thirsty. The servant of Yahweh is not going to be exiled and excommunicated from his land and his inheritance. So what is happening is people are being disinherited, and they don't even realize it. So remember, before the children of Israel went into the land, a lot of them died.
Just listen to the chorus, yo.
Okay, and when they died, he chopped their numbers down. So whoever had the greatest numbers were going to get the greatest of inheritance. He said that those people, you're not going to inherit this land. He said, I don't like that generation. They're not going to inherit this land.
Well, all praise to the Most High, man. We have brothers and sisters like that are here that can show us and help us to understand these scripts and understand, what the Most High is requiring from us, because a lot of us don't, and a lot of us just live life on, standing still and not doing anything to be better or do better, and all praise to the Most High. I'm glad that we're here. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Yahweh does choose. He's the one. He chooses everything and all things. Like, so, all praise, man. We just here, y'all. We trying to wake the masses up and bring the sheep back to the Most High. So y'all just bear with us, man. It's the Exodus edition part 2. We did part 1 last week, and it was fire. It was fire, and I felt him. I felt him getting on the road, y'all, and I ain't wanna like stop him, but I just didn't want him to give everything up last week. I want him to, to leave y'all mouth watering like mine was for the truth and the knowledge and the wisdom. So all praise. Let's give a round of applause to the brother Achi'Ka. I said it right this time. All praises.
Yeah, all praises.
Oh yeah, man. It's been a beautiful build, man, and we gonna have to definitely y'all get y'all notebooks ready for next week, because I got a feeling.
Yeah, we're gonna
go in the heat.
Yeah, we're gonna try to cover. We're going to try to close out that part of the covenant. So we'll be in verse number 6 and probably 7 if we have enough time.
Okay.
Of Exodus number 20. Yeah. So today we completed verse number 5, and as you can see, it's just not reading it; it's understanding it. So it's a lot deeper, right? So then next week, if Yah's willing, will be 6 and 7, and then he'll turn and he'll close it and he'll open something else that he wants to talk about. So we won't connect things that aren't supposed to be connected. So everything in verse number 2 through 7 is just connected. See, and then we'll move down further into the covenant, and then you'll get a proper understanding of why Exodus 20 is the most important thing that you need to know. Because he always tells you, "Don't forget my covenant."
Don't forget it. Bet not.
And the covenant. I am Yahweh, Noki Yahweh Achi'Ka. If you forget that, it's over for you.
It's over.
Anyway, shalom, everyone.
All praise. Hey, we love y'all. Hey, till next week. Till next week, we go do it. All praises. Hold up. Look, I was trying to get it. I'm trying to. Why the outro ain't playing? That's crazy. Well, anyway, all praises, y'all. We love y'all.
Hey, let me ask you something before you go.
What's that?
Hey, Abia, let me ask you something before you leave. When you get a chance, did you get a hold of that guy, that Christian?
Yep. This week wasn't good for him, so he told me to get with him next week around Tuesday. And he'll be ready. We might have to do like a Friday type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And,
that'll be cool.
Yeah, let y'all go ahead and get the rec in, recreational. And, yeah, so I think like around that time. So I'm gonna give him a call like around Tuesday, Thursday. See what's going on with him. But I know he's ready. He said he watched the Exodus. I know it was Isaiah 53. He watched that and he was ready. He said, "Yeah, I want some of that." So I'm like, "Okay, I got you."
Oh, he watched.
Okay. So yeah, definitely, man. I'm gonna get it to you, man. I know you're ready for him, man. I'm ready to hear what y'all both gotta say. So, all praise, man. It's your boy Abia on the Spit Your Truth podcast. We have concluded another episode of the Sabbath Talk with Moreh Achi'Ka and the Covenant Edition. Hey, it's getting hot and spicy, man. Y'all better tune in to the next couple ones, man, because y'all gonna love it, what he got to say. He's bringing it out, using the truth, using the language and the scriptures. It ain't gonna be nothing but butter after this, babies. Come on through next week, y'all. Shabbat time. I messed up the flyer. He brought it to my attention, so it's not EST. I don't live in Eastern Standard Time. I live in Central Standard Time. My bad, y'all. So it'll be 1 p.m. PST and what is it? 2 p.m. EST? No, 2 p.m. CST, ain't it? Because y'all are an hour behind us. So if you from the Midwest to New York, then you an hour. We'll be broadcasting at 3 p.m. If you are from Kansas on back, then we will be broadcasting at 1 p.m. So same time, just different time zones. Y'all get it. As apologies for the mess up, y'all, but we'll be back with it. Just stay tuned. Just stay tuned because it's coming, man. And we bringing this every week to y'all. Every week. And hey, the brother, y'all see the brother. Y'all hear his teaching. Y'all hear what he got to say. Y'all know that he very knowledgeable. Come on through, man. So bring your coffee, your tea. I like tea personally, but bring your coffee, your tea, your whatever, your ice cream, whatever you use to calm down and chill so you can sit for an hour or so and listen to these jewels. Come on, bring it through. All praise to the Most High. This is your boy Abia and Moreh Achi'Ka on the Sabbath Talk, the Covenant Edition episodes. Holla at y'all. We love y'all. All praise to the Most High. Peace.
No cap, spreading real love, cause Chi Almighty gave us that. It should resonate in your soul, make you gain self-control. But first, you must forget all them lies we were told. Then seek wisdom so divine, knowledge and good works will align. Yeah. It's that real music, strong and bold. Just listen to the chorus, yo.
This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow. This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow.
This that God music, we praising y'all music. The word of God, use it. Ruach on me, change my thoughts. Rid me of the wicked thoughts. Had to change the way I talk. Evil communications can surely change the way you walk. It's crippling. Wise guys are simpletons. Strong delusion got them mental, and I think they in need of some help. Those that seek need a physician. Open chest, make an incision. Remove that stony heart. Take this one that is made of flesh. Forgive my transgression was ill like an infection. Campaigning for the election. My aim to reach perfection. Hebrew business, we the brethren out here trying to preach the message. If they don't want to hear it, dust them feet and keep it stepping.
This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow. This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow.
Sing hallelujah, all praises up to Yahweh, almighty power. The devil really wanted to devour me. Then he came to me and set me free from all the demons that were holding me in poverty. The only reason that I'm feeling Yah inside of me, cause he told me to repent and now my eyes to see that the truth was hidden from me from the very start. So I gotta thank my Father for my heart.
See what I'm present for, but what I'm living in. It's the truth that I'm destined to sin again. But repenting the Father, forgiving again and again and again and again and again. I remember the days I was low, but the Father was helping me grow. Hallelujah, I'm singing this song. Look up the eyes he putting me on.
This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow. This that God music, you know that holy flow. righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow.
One thing I like to tell them is I make it look easy. One thing about me is ain't no work on the floor. This that God music, so I'm about to clean it some more. Plus he told us he would separate the sheep from the goat. Blah. Deuteronomy will show you the blow. Yeah. And you already know. Other nations really trying to get greasy. Now they reaping what they sow. Tell they ass what it's easy. It ain't even about the fact that we just trying to get behind a lot of dollars that wanna lay up with our baby mamas. It's only that we bring the heat on every track because we trying to tell our people how to come back into the Father.
This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow. This that God music, you know that holy flow. We loud about our God, we don't keep him on the low. The spirit in our hearts, milk and honey in our flow. Keep it righteous in our talk, cause we reap what we sow.
Listen to the chorus, yo. Spitting true, no cap. Spreading real love, cause Chi Almighty gave us that. It should resonate in your soul. Make you gain self-control. But first, you must forget all them lies we were told. Then seek wisdom so divine. Knowledge and good works will align. Yeah, it's that real music, strong and bold. Just listen to the chorus, yo.